Fabian Cancellara, nicknamed Spartacus, is a Swiss professional road bicycle racer for UCI ProTeam Trek Factory Racing. He was born in Wohlen, Bern, Switzerland. Cancellara began road cycling after falling in love with an old bike at the age of 13. After that, he began to take the sport more seriously and won 2 consecutive World Junior Time Trial Championships in 1998 and 1999. At age 19 he turned professional and signed with the Mapei-Quick Step team, where he rode as a stagiaire. He is known for being a quality time trialist, a classics specialist, and a workhorse for his teammates that have general classification aspirations. After winning a few stages and small races in his starting years, Cancellara earned his first major victory at the 2004 Tour de France, where he won the opening prologue time trial and wore race leader yellow jersey for one day. The following season saw fewer victories, but his 2006 season saw a victory in the men's time trial at the UCI Road World Championships, along with victory at the Paris-Euro Roubaix. Cancellara repeated as world champion in the time trial the next year, along with winning 2 stages at the Tour de France. During the 2008 calendar he won gold at the Summer Olympics in the individual time trial event and the Milano-Euro-San Remo. The next season saw Cancellara again become world time trial champion and lead both the Tour de France and the Vuelta a Spa+/-A. In 2010, he won the Paris-Euro Roubaix and the Tour of Flanders. Cancellara's 2011 and 2012 campaigns were both short in number of victories, while the latter was hampered by injuries throughout. After a lackluster 2-year period, Cancellara again won the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Euro Roubaix double in 2013. In 2014, Cancellara repeated as winner of the Tour of Flanders. Since turning professional in 2000, Cancellara has ridden for 4 professional teams. He has achieved great success in the classics. He has won Paris-Euro Roubaix 3 times, the Milano-Euro-San Remo once, and the Tour of Flanders 3 times. Cancellara has won the opening stage of the Tour de France 5 times and has led the race for 29 days total, which is the most of any rider who has not won the Tour. His success has not been limited to just time trials and classics, as he has won general classification of the Tirreno Euro Adriatico, Tour de Suisse, and the Tour of Oman. In 2008, he won gold in the individual time trial and silver in the men's road race at the Summer Olympics. In addition, Cancellara has been the time trial world champion 4 times in his career. Early life and amateur career. Fabian Cancellara was born on March 18, 1981, in Wohlen, Bern, Switzerland, to Italian parents. He discovered cycling at the age of 13 after falling in love with an old family bike that he had found in the garage and immediately gave up football to concentrate on cycling. In addition, Cancellara excelled at cross-country skiing during his youth. Cancellara's cycling skills began to blossom at an early age, when he impressed as a time trialist and dominated Swiss junior cycling. Yvonne Gerard, Swiss national junior team coach from 1997 to 2005, was quoted saying that Cancellara was head and shoulders above everyone else in the time trials. He won the Junior World Time Trial Championship in both 1998 and 1999, and at the age of 19 he came in second at the 2000 U23 World Time Trial Championship. Professional career 2000 to Euro 2002, the beginning years after his second-place finish at the Under-23 Time Trial Championship, Cancellara turned professional with Mapei-Quick Step, which was one of the strongest teams in the world at the time. Cancellara rode as a stagiaire for the Mapei-Quick Step team in late 2000 before joining the team for the 2001 season as a member of the Young Riders Project. Cancellara's first victory as a professional came at the prologue of the Tour of Rhodes, where he also won the overall final general classification. For 2002 the Mapei team split into 2 formations per UCI regulations, the top team with 25 riders and the GSII Gruppo Giovanni to develop young talents, which Cancellara joined with other riders including Filippo Pozzato, Michael Rogers and Bernhard Eisel. Giorgio Squinzi, the head of Mapei firm, later said in an interview with La Gazzetta dello Sport that he took Cancellara and Pozzato all the way from the junior category to Mapei's top team, in order to let them avoid the under-23 category where he suggested that doping was even worse than among professionals. Squinzi also said that Cancellara was going to be the future Miguel Indurain. During his 2 seasons with Mapei, Cancellara used his time trialing skills to great effect, winning several individual time trials and a total of 11 victories. 2003 Euro 2005, on the rise following the folding of Mapei-Quick Step at the end of the 2002 season, Cancellara joined Fassa Bortolo to work as a lead-out man for Alessandro Petacchi in 2003. Cancellara's first victory came to Almar copyright di Tirana copyright N. He helped lead the Fassa Bortolo squad to victory in the race's final stage, which was a team time trial. On April 6, Cancellara raced his first ever classic in the Tour of Flanders. He finished in the 73rd place and over 10 minutes behind the winner. His next success came in the brief 3.4 km prologue at the Tour de Romandie. Cancellara was a consistent finisher throughout the race, and because of that, he won the points classification for the Tour de Romandie. Next, he won the Stage 4 individual time trial at the Tour of Belgium by a margin of 10 seconds over the second-place finisher. His final victory of the season came in the Tour de Suisse's prologue, where he beat out Spaniard Oscar Pereira by a little over a second for the win. Cancellara earned his first victory in 2004 at the Tour of Qatar. Cancellara won the race's 4th stage after attacking in the final kilometers of the race and then out-sprinting the riders who were able to keep pace with him to win the stage. His next victory came in the first stage of the Setmana Catalana de Ciclisme, where he won the opening stage's bunch sprint. Up next on the calendar for Cancellara was the Tour of Flanders. Cancellara crossed the line in 42nd place, just a little over 2 minutes after the winner Stefan Weisman. Your next weekend, he raced the Paris-Euro Roubaix for the second time. Cancellara showed great form during the race and was a member of the 4-man group that was first to reach the finish line. He lost the sprint to the line and crossed the line in 4th. Cancellara's next success came in the Tour de Luxembourg, where he won the Stage 4 individual time trial by 14 seconds over the second-place finisher. He then went on to win his second Swiss National Time Trial Championship in late June. Cancellara's next success came at the Tour de France. He won the prologue around the Belgian city of Liège and took the first race lead as Maillot Jaune. Cancellara lost the lead after the second stage to Thor Hushovd. Cancellara did participate in both the time trial and road race at the Road World Championships. Cancellara performed well in the time trial and came in 8th place. He finished over 2 minutes behind the winner. He entered the men's road race 4 days later, but did not finish the course. Cancellara's first victory of the 2005 season came in the Paris-Nice, where he won the 4th stage after out-sprinting his fellow breakaway member Jan Kirsippi for the stage win. Up next for Cancellara was the Setmana Catalana. There he won the race's final stage, an individual time trial by 7 seconds over American Tom Danielson. After Setmana Catalana, he raced the Tour of Flanders and finished 42nd overall and over 10 minutes behind the winner Tom Boonen. Your next weekend, he raced Paris-Euro Roubaix where he finished in 8th place after a flat tire killed his chances of winning the race. Cancellara's next victory came in the Tour de Luxembourg, when he won the Stage 3B individual time trial. He finished the Tour with the same time as the winner Laszlo Bodragy, but was given second overall by the organizers. After the Tour de Luxembourg, Cancellara won the Swiss National Time Trial Championship for the 3rd time. Cancellara then started the Tour de France, but did not win any stages at the race. After the Tour, he then rode the HEWC Classics where he finished in 4th place amidst the bunch sprint for the race win. Cancellara then competed in the road race and the time trial at the Road World Championships. Cancellara finished in 3rd place in the time trial event and missed out on a silver second-place medal by 0.12 of a second. 3 days later, he finished the road race in 123rd place and over 10 minutes behind the winner. 2006, First classic win equals, Cancellara's team, Fassa Bortolo, disbanded after the 2005 cycling season. Cancellara signed a 3-year contract with Team CSC during the 2005 Tour de France. Cancellara's first victory with his new team came in the Stage 5 individual time trial at the Tirrenia Euro Adriatico. He then raced the Milano Euro San Remo, where he finished with the same time as winner Filippo Pozzetto but 24th place behind. A week later, Cancellara lined up to start the E3 PRIJS Vlaanderen. He figured into the early breakaway and led the race for a good distance before being caught and ultimately finishing in 37th place. Up next for Cancellara was the Tour of Flanders. He finished 6th overall after being in the lead chase group that was in pursuit of the winner Tom Boonen and second-place finisher Loïc Host. Your next weekend, Cancellara rode his final classic of the season in the Paris-Euro Roubaix. Cancellara was in the leading group of riders for most of the stage. When the race reached the Carrefour de l'Ebre, he powered away from his fellow riders and went on by himself to win the race itself. This was his first ever classic victory. His next victory came in the Stage 1 individual time trial at the Volta a Catalunya. In late June, Cancellara won his third straight Swiss national time trial champion title. He was not selected to ride with Team CSC at the Tour de France. Outside of repeating as time trial champion in June, Cancellara had a quiet June and July. Cancellara's next victories of the season came at the Denmark Runt. He won the second stage and took the race lead after riding solo to victory. He expanded his lead after winning the Stage 5th time trial by 18 seconds over the second-placed finisher. The next day, he won the race after completing the final stage. In addition to the race's general classification, he also won the youth classification. Later that month, he rode the Vuelta a Spa +or-A and helped his team with the opening team time trial. After the Vuelta, Cancellara competed in the elite men's time trial and road race at the UCI Road World Championships. On September 21, Cancellara won the men's time trial event by over a minute to American David Sobrisk and became the world champion of the time trial discipline. 3 days later, he finished the road race in 31st place. 2007, success in summer and autumn equals. The early portion of Cancellara's 2007 campaign began with no victories to his credit. He started the Tour of California and came closest to a stage win in Stage 5 time trial, where he finished in 4th place. He finished in 119th place in the Milano Euro San Remo, over 6 minutes behind the winner Oscar Freire. The next week, Cancellara lined up to race the E3 PRIJS Vlaanderen. He missed out on the victory after Belgian rider Tom Boonen edged out Cancellara for the win. 8 days later, Cancellara raced the Tour of Flanders and came in 53rd place after his moves were not successful. The last classic Cancellara raced in the 2007 season was the famed Paris-Euro Roubaix, which he finished in 19th place. After the slow start to the season, Cancellara began to achieve success in June. He rode the Tour de Suisse and won the opening time trial, along with the final stage that was also a time trial. With the opening stage victory in the Tour de Suisse, Cancellara led the race for a few stages before losing it to teammate Vaarkhurense NK Schleck after stage 4. Cancellara continued his success in the time trial with a victory in the Swiss national time trial. Cancellara won the prologue of the Tour de France in London, defeating Andreas Klöden of Astana by 13 seconds. During Stage 2, he was caught up in a very large crash which brought down an estimated 30 riders. He crossed the finish line nursing his left hand but appeared to be fine during the yellow jersey presentation. The next day, he won the third stage in Compiègne after he caught and overtook the breakaway group just 500 meters from the finish line. Cancellara held the yellow jersey until Stage 7, the Tour's first mountain stage. Cancellara returned to the Road World Championships in September with the aims to defend his time trial crown. He achieved his goal and won the time trial by 52 seconds over second-place finisher Léa Baudrejai. 3 days later, Cancellara raced the road race, but did not finish the course. 2008, Olympic champion. Cancellara won the prologue of the Tour of California ahead of Olympic track gold medalist Bradley Wiggins in his first race of the season. 2 weeks later, he won the second edition of Italian Monte Poi Eroica ahead of Italian rider Alessandro Ballan. Cancellara then rode the Tirreno Euro Adriatico where he won stage 5 time trial to Recanati, which allowed him to take the race lead. Cancellara would go on to win the race by 16 seconds over the second-place rider. Just a few days later in the Milano Euro-San Remo Classic Monument race, Cancellara broke away from a leading group in the final kilometers to win the race, thus becoming just the second Swiss rider triumphant in this race, after Eric Mauchler in 1987. At Paris-Roubaix, Cancellara finished second after being outsprinted by the winner Bounen. In preparation for the second half of the season, Cancellara rode the Tour de Luxembourg and the Tour de Suisse. Cancellara won the prologue of the Tour de Luxembourg and briefly held the overall lead because of the victory. After finishing the Tour de Luxembourg, he started the Tour de Suisse where he saw great success. Cancellara won the 7th and 9th stages through attacks in the closing kilometers of each stage. In addition to the 2 stage wins, he also won the points classification. Cancellara joined his team at the Tour de France. Cancellara proved to be a valuable asset to the squad as he helped his teammate Carlos Sastre to overall victory at the Tour. Cancellara was later awarded the stage win in the penultimate stage after the initial winner, Stefan Schumacher, tested positive for EPO. In the Olympic road race in Beijing, Cancellara was in a chasing group with around 5 kilometers before he attacked and successfully bridged the gap to the leading group when 1 kilometer was left to race. The race then came down to a sprint finish that was won by the Samuel Zahr Nchez, with David Rebellin coming in second and Cancellara coming in third for a bronze medal. However, later it was found that Rebellin had tested positive for continuous erythropoietin receptor activator and his medal was removed by both the UCI and the IOC. Cancellara was subsequently promoted to second place, and the initial fourth-place finisher Alexander Kalunov was promoted to third place. The riders did not initially receive new medals for their new placings. On December 18, 2010, Cancellara received the same physical medal initially given to Rebellin, in a ceremony held in his hometown of Itigen, Switzerland. Cancellara's bronze was then given to Kalunov. 4 days after racing the road race, Cancellara raced the time trial event. He won the gold medal by winning the race by over 30 seconds to Swedish rider Gustav Larsson. After finishing with the Olympics, Cancellara decided not to defend his world time trial title in Paris due to mental fatigue. For his success on the road in the 2008 season, Cancellara was named the Swiss Male Athlete of the Year at the Credit Suisse Sports Awards. 2009, domination in the time trial. Cancellara's first victory of the 2009 season came in the prologue of the Tour of California. This was his second victory in a row in the prologue at the Tour of California. Cancellara then returned to the Tirreno Euro Adriatico, but an injury prevented his efforts to repeat as winner of the event. Cancellara did not finish the 6th stage of the race. He left the event without winning a single stage. Poor performance marred the early portion of the season for Cancellara as he achieved no success in the early season classics. He did not finish the Tour of Flanders after suffering problem with his bike chain early in the race, on the Koppenberg, and he finished 49th overall in the Paris-Roubaix. Cancellara began to achieve success in June, during the Tour de Suisse. He won the opening time trial of the race and the time trial on stage 9 en route to his overall victory. In addition to the general classification, he also won the secondary points classification of the Tour de Suisse. A week after finishing the Tour de Suisse, he won his first Swiss national road racing crown on June 28 after outsprinting Matthias Frank at the line. He continued to win in July, as he won the opening stage of the Tour de France and took the first yellow jersey of the race. He then successfully defended the lead until the 7th stage, when he was unable to bridge the gap to the leaders on the Arcolis mountain top finish. Cancellara's next victories season came at the Vuelta a Spa +or-A. He won the opening time trial and then held the lead of the race until the race's fourth stage. Cancellara briefly regained the lead of the race after winning the time trial on stage 7, but he lost the lead after the next stage's conclusion. The Road World Championships took place in Cancellara's native country Switzerland, and he stated that he wished to win both events. Cancellara dominated the time trial event and won by a margin of close a minute and a half over the second-place finisher. This was Cancellara's third World Championship in the time trial discipline, which was tied for most ever with Australia's Michael Rogers. Cancellara's next goal was the road race, which was to take place 3 days later. During the final lap of the race, Cancellara crossed the gap to the race's leading group that had just formed. At the bottom of the final climb, Cadel Evans attacked, but no other riders reacted. Cancellara crossed the line in fifth. 2010, victories abound. Fabian Cancellara kicked off his 2010 campaign with an overall victory at the Tour of Oman. He gained the lead after the race's final stage and won the race without winning a single stage. In late March, Cancellara won the E3 PRIJS Vlaanderen after riding away from Wohlen and Juan Antonio Fletcher with about 2 kilometers remaining in the race. On April 4 he raced the famed Tour of Flanders. Cancellara first attacked in the race on the Molenberg with about 44 kilometers remaining in the race, and only Wohlen was able to mark his efforts. Cancellara's second major attack took place on the steepest part of the Mu van Gerardsbergen. The attack proved successful as he was able to drop Wohlen and solo onto the victory. By winning the Tour of Flanders, he became the 12th cyclist to win the opening 3 monuments: the of the cycling year Euro Milan, Euro San Remo, Tour of Flanders, and the Paris Euro Roubaix Euro in a career. After winning the Tour of Flanders, Cancellara stated that he wished to win the other 2 cycling monuments, the Liège Euro Bastogne Euro Liège and the Giro di Lombardia. Just a week after his victory at the Tour of Flanders, Cancellara raced the Paris Euro Roubaix. Cancellara made a move during the Mons en Par copyright Vala portion of the race with more than 50 kilometers to go in the race, and no one was able to match his efforts. Cancellara then rode solo all the way to the finish in the Roubaix Velodrome and finished 2 minutes ahead the second-place finisher Thor Hushovd. After winning the Roubaix, Cancellara decided to skip the rest of the classics to race the Tour of California as part of his warm-up for the Tour de France. He completed the Tour of California without winning a single stage. Cancellara's next victory came at the Tour de Suisse, where he won the prologue, which was an individual time trial around the city of Lugano. Cancellara came close to another stage win in the Stage 9 individual time trial, but fell short by 17 seconds. Next, Cancellara won the prologue of the Tour de France. He then held the lead until the second stage came to an end, after stage winner Sylvain Chavannes took it away. However, Cancellara regained the lead after the next day and held it until stage 7 when Chavannes again took the lead. Later in the Tour, Cancellara won the stage 19 individual time trial that stretched from Bordeaux to Porlac by 17 seconds over German rider Tony Martin. The Road World Championships took place in Melbourne, and Cancellara returned to the event to defend his title as world champion of the time trial discipline. He won the time trial by over a minute to the second-place finisher, and in doing so, he became the first 4-time men's world champion of the time trial. 4 days later, he competed in the road race and finished 50th overall. Allegation of mechanical doping. In 2010, former cyclist David Cassani claimed in a YouTube video that Fabian Cancellara had used a motorized bike during his victories at the Tour of Flanders and the Paris Euro Roubaix that year. In the video, Cassani showed a normal road bike on a stand, and after he pressed a button, the pedals began to rotate. Cassani then alleged that a motor could easily be stowed in the C-tube of the bike and the button to turn it on would be located on the handlebars. In the YouTube video, Cassani showed clips of Cancellara at the 2 races allegedly turning on the motor while riding and showing the drastic increase in speed. The claims caught steam since rumors were already going around about riders possibly using the new motor, the Gruber Assist, which could produce 100 watts of power to aid the rider. The Union Cycliste Internationale stated that whilst they are not investigating any specific teams or riders, it would review the need for a new bicycle inspection system to detect such cheating. Then UCI stated that there was no case against Cancellara after the claims gained prominence. Cancellara dismissed Cassani's claims, saying that they were stupid and far too risky to do. He even told the Belgian newspaper Het Nieuwsblad that he had never had batteries on his bike. 2011, close but no cigar. This was Cancellara's first year with his new team Leopard Trek, which lacked the high-caliber domestiques that Cancellara had in the past, meaning that winning would be tougher for Cancellara. His first major race of the year was the Roubaix Euro Adriatico, where he won the race's final stage, which was an individual time trial. Cancellara came to the Milan Euro San Remo with the hopes of winning the race a second time. He positioned himself in an 8-man breakaway that made it all the way to the finish. As the group approached the finish line, Cancellara was bested in the sprint for the line by Australian Matthew Goss, and Cancellara crossed the line in second. Cancellara was seen as the favourite or top contender for the next 3 one-day races: a Euro, the E3 PRIJS Flandre, and a Euro Roubaix, the Tour of Flanders, and the Paris Euro Roubaix Euro, due to his great performance in the 2010 season and his good form in the early portion of the 2011 season. He lived up to his expectations and won the E3 PRIJS Flandre and a Euro Roubaix. After having several flat tyres and a few bike changes, he launched a solo attack with 16 kilometers and rode by himself to the finish line for the victory. Your next weekend, Cancellara began the Tour of Flanders. He launched an attack with about 60 kilometers left to go in the race and caught up with the leader Sylvain Chavannes. However, Cancellara cracked after Chavannes did not help with the pacing, and the two were picked up by a chasing group on the Meuvan Gerardsbergen. With 4 kilometers left in the race, Cancellara launched 2 attacks. His first attack was marked by the whole group, while his second attack could only be matched by Chavannes and Nick Nguyen's. The 3 rode into the finish together, with Nguyen's taking the win, Chavannes second, and Cancellara third. The Paris Euro Roubaix was next on the calendar for Cancellara. Cancellara finished in second place after a crash hurt him early on, as did being a member of a chasing group that did not work with him to catch the leading riders. On the 1st of June, Cancellara began the Tour de Luxembourg. He won the prologue and was the first to wear the race leader's yellow jersey. He then held the lead until the second stage came to a close, when stage winner Linus Gerdeman took the lead away from him. Cancellara then raced the Tour de Suisse and won the opening and closing stages of the race, which were both individual time trials. He then closed out June by winning the Swiss National Road Race after he outsprinted Steve Murabeto for the win, which was his second Swiss National Road Race title. Cancellara entered the Tour de France in July, but was unable to come away with a victory in either the team time trial or the lone individual time trial. Up next for Cancellara was the Vuelta a Spa Plus or Minusa, where he helped his team achieve victory in the Stage 1's team time trial. Cancellara's final events for the 2011 season were the road race and the time trial at the Road World Championships. Cancellara came with the hopes of winning a 3rd consecutive time trial world crown. However, he would finish in 3rd place after the winner Martin and runner-up Wiggins. 4 days later, Cancellara lined up to race the road race. The race came down to a sprint finish that was won by Mark Cavendish. Cancellara barely missed a medal after finishing in 4th place. 2012, an injury-ridden season. In the first races of the 2012 season, Cancellara showed a good form. He powered to a second victory on the gravel roads of the Strade Bianche and took a victory in the closing time trial of the Roubaix Euro Adriatico. In the final of the first monument of the year, Milan Euro San Remo, he was the strongest rider during the descent of the Poggio, but was outsprinted for victory by Simon Gerrans. He was in great form for the Belgian Spring Classics, but a fall and material malfunction kept him from playing a part in the final of both the E3 Roubaix and Gente Euro Wevelgem. Cancellara was one of the favourites to win the renewed Tour of Flanders but played no part in the final due to a crash in the feed zone. It was caused by a discarded water bottle. He suffered a 4-part fracture of the right collarbone which ruined his spring campaign. He came back to competition on June 10 in his homeland, racing in the Tour de Suisse. Cancellara stated that he was nervous before the start of the prologue, which he finished in second position, 4 seconds behind the winner, Liquigas Cannondale's Peter Sagan. In the Tour de France, Cancellara won the opening day prologue in Liège, his 5th such victory in the Tour. After his 5th day in the yellow jersey in the race, Cancellara broke Rena Copyright Veto's long-standing record as the rider with the most career yellow jerseys who has not won the Tour overall. He subsequently lost the jersey to Wiggins of Team Sky after conceding almost 2 minutes on the 7th stage, which finished on top of a steep Category 1 climb leading to Planche des Belles Filles. He withdrew from the Tour after the 11th stage to return home to support his wife before the birth of their second child. Cancellara returned to compete in the road race at the Olympics Games. He was the leading rider of a massive breakaway when he badly negotiated a right turn with about 15 kilometers to cover and fell heavily on his right shoulder. He completed the race, finishing approximately 5 minutes after the winner, the Kazakh Alexander Vinogorov, but was in obvious pain and could not hold his handlebar properly with his right hand. As he crossed the line, he was in tears and was sent to the hospital where it was revealed that he did not suffer any fractures. 2 days after the incident, it was announced that he would be able to defend his Olympic time trial title, an event he subsequently finished in 7th. In August, Cancellara announced that he was putting an end to his 2012 season. He required further surgery on his collarbone to get the stabilizing viscera out of his body. 2013, return to form. Cancellara began the 2013 campaign with the Tour of Qatar and the Tour of Oman, but failed to collect any victories. After finishing the aforementioned tours, he raced the Strade Bianche and finished in 4th place. Next, Cancellara raced the Tirreno Euro Adriatico. He came close to a stage victory in the race's Stage 7 individual time trial, but missed the win by 12 seconds. Just 5 days later, Cancellara lined up at the Milano Euro San Remo, where he was considered by many as a favorite to win the race. The race was marred by poor weather conditions, but Cancellara remained near the front and managed to place 3rd overall after losing out in the sprint for the finish line. His first win of the year came in E3 Roubaix, after an attack on the Oude-Querment, with 35 kilometers remaining of the race. His victory at the E3 Roubaix solidified him as a contender for the upcoming Tour of Flanders. On the last lap of the Tour of Flanders, Cancellara attacked on the Oude-Querment and only Peter Sagan was able to match Cancellara's move. Together, the two rode all the way to the front of the race. Cancellara then attacked on the Paterberg Hill with about 13 kilometers remaining in the race. Cancellara's attack was successful and he rode solo into the finish and won his second Tour of Flanders. After the Tour of Flanders, Cancellara then rode the Scheldeprijs in Belgium. During the race, he fell after about 50 kilometers of racing but still finished the race. The next day, Cancellara crashed while riding on the Wayne Digny's Humage-cobbled sector of the Paris-Roubaix. Despite the crashes, many still considered Fabian Cancellara a favorite to win the Paris-Roubaix. During the Paris-Roubaix on April 7, Cancellara was attacked multiple times by his competitors, but he managed to counter all their attacks. With about 16 kilometers to go, Cancellara made a move that only Sepp Vanmark and Zdeněk Angstrom-Tybar could follow. Angstrom-Tybar was dropped after he collided with a spectator, leaving Cancellara and Vanmark to ride to the finish. When the two finally made their way to the velodrome where the finish was located, Cancellara managed to outsprint Sepp Vanmark to win his third Paris-Roubaix. After the race, Cancellara stated that he would not ride either the Giro d'Italia or the Tour de France, but instead ride the Vuelta a Spa +or- in order to prepare for UCI Road World Championships. On June 7, 2013 it was announced that Cancellara would ride the Tour of Austria. The next race he started was the Tour de Suisse. Cancellara placed 16th overall in the Stage 1 individual time trial. Although he did not win a stage, Cancellara expressed his excitement for his teammate Gregory Rast's victory in the race's sixth stage. Days after finishing the Tour de Suisse, Cancellara rode and won the men's time trial event at the Swiss Road Championships for the eighth time in his career. It was announced on July 1, 2013 that Cancellara signed a 3-year deal with Trek, which is effective on January 1, 2014. After a short hiatus from racing, Cancellara lined up to start the Tour of Austria on June 30. He won the Stage 7 individual time trial by a margin of 22 seconds over the second-place finisher, before completing the race the next day. On Friday 26 July, Cancellara attended the team presentation Tour de Pillon where the riders participating for each team were formally introduced. The next day, he finished over 16 minutes behind the stage winner in the first leg of the race. He came close to a stage win when finished second on the Stage 7's 37 km time trial, 56 seconds behind stage winner Bradley Wiggins. Cancellara went in hoping to win the time trial, and the second-place finish on the stage left him disappointed. Cancellara began the Vuelta at Aspar +or-A and helped assist Radio Shack Leopard to a second-place finish in the race's opening team time trial. He won the Stage 11 individual time trial by a margin of 37 seconds over reigning world champion Tony Martin. Cancellara then rode in support of team leader Chris Horner until the 17th stage, where he abandoned the race in order to focus on the World Championships. Cancellara was seen as a contender for the gold medal in both the men's time trial and road race events at the UCI Road World Championships. On September 25, Cancellara finished the time trial 48 seconds behind the winner Tony Martin, in third position, earning a bronze medal. 4 days after completing the time trial event, Cancellara began the elite men's road race. For most of the race, Cancellara stayed near the front of race. However, he was dropped on the final climb of the day and fought his way to a 10th-place finish. In late December, Radio Shack Leopard's general manager Luca Guesolina announced that Fabian Cancellara will attempt to break the hour record during the 2014 season. 2014, third Tour of Flanders victory. Fabian Cancellara began the 2014 cycling season by competing in the inaugural Dubai Tour. The first stage of the race was a brief individual time trial which Cancellara managed to complete 25 seconds slower than the stage winner Taylor Phinney. Cancellara managed to hold his fifth place overall to the race's finish that ended in front of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. Next, Cancellara began the Tour of Qatar, where his highest stage finish, fourth place, came during the race's third stage, an individual time trial. He finished the race in 67th overall in the general classification. On February 18, Cancellara started the Tour of Oman. 5 days later, he completed the race in 31st place overall. Cancellara then entered the Strade Bianche, where he finished in 6th place behind winner Michael Kwiatkowski. On March 12 he started the Tirreno Euro Adriatico. Cancellara had one top 10 result with his second-place finish in the Stage 7 individual time trial. Next on the calendar for Cancellara was the Milano Euro Sanremo which took place on March 23. The one-day race came down to a bunch sprint after 294 kilometers of racing. Norwegian Alexander Kristoff won the bunch sprint and the race, while Cancellara finished in second position. 5 days later, he competed in the E3 Harelbeke where he finished in 9th place after being caught up behind a crash and having to change a tire. 2 days later, he started the Gent Euro Wevelgem. Cancellara came to the race a favourite, but his goal of winning the race were erased when it came down to a field sprint, where he finished in 38th position. A week after the Gent Euro Wevelgem, Cancellara raced the Tour of Flanders. On the penultimate climb of the day, the Oude Quermont, Cancellara attacked and only Sepp Vanmark was able to mark his move. The pair travelled along the course and caught the leaders on the road and the group of four then rode into the finish together. Cancellara outsprinted the three other riders to win his third edition of the Tour of Flanders. 3 days later, Cancellara raced in the Scheldeprijs. 4 days following the Scheldeprijs, Cancellara began the Paris-Roubaix. he made a move in the Carrefour de l'Ebre sector and which led to the formation of a lead group. The group came to the line 20 seconds after the winner, with Cancellara managing to sprint to a third-place finish. In September, Cancellara announced he would not compete in the World Championship time trial event, concentrating his energy for the road race which profile he said suited him. He withdrew from the Vuelta a Aspar plus or minus a before stage 18 to better prepare for this race. 2015 Cancellara's 2015 campaign started well with a victory on stage 2 of the Tour of Oman. He outsprinted a leading group of about 10 riders to take the honours. In the Italian race Turinau Euro Adriatico, he had a good prologue, taking second place behind Adriano Mallory by a single second. He went on to win the final time trial of the race, a 10-kilometre affair. In Milan Euro Sanremo, Cancellara was part of the leading group and sprinted to a 7th place. At the end of March, Cancellara crashed badly at the E3 Roubaix, suffering 2 minor fractures in the transverse processes of his lower vertebrae, ending his Spring Classics campaign. He came back at the Tour des Fiords at the end of May without registering a significant result. On home soil at the Tour de Suisse, he amassed a second position in the opening prologue and a third placing in the last stage's individual time trial. In the Tour de France, Cancellara came in third of stage 1's individual time trial. On the second stage, he was donned the yellow jersey thanks to a third place, which gave him 4 bonus seconds. He was involved in a mass pile-up on the third stage, and finished the race slowly. After a visit to the hospital, it was revealed that he had suffered 2 transverse process fractures in 2 vertebrae in his lower back and he had to abandon. Personal life: Fabian Cancellara was born to southern Italian parents, who lived in Wohlen, Bern, Switzerland. His first sport was cross-country skiing, before he adopted cycling as his main pursuit. He married his wife Stephanie in 2006, and later in the same year he became a father after Stephanie gave birth to a baby girl, whom they named Juliana. Their second daughter, Alina, was born on July 13, 2012. The family now resides in Bern, Switzerland. Cancellara speaks English, Italian, French, and German fluently. Major achievements. Major results source. Monuments results timeline source, DNF did not finish, a Euro did not compete. References. External links, official website, Radio Shack Leopard profile, Fabian Cancellara profile at Pro Cycling Stats, Fabian Cancellara profile at Cycling Archives.